Welcome to another Ultimate Guide for Homeworld Mobile. Today we're going to explore multi-fleet management. Now, before we get into the big stuff, let's talk about a little bit of the small stuff. So we got in the internal menu here, this fleet configuration tab. This is going to be where we deal with all of our fleet. We'll see over here, I'll break it down a little bit, but this is our active fleet, and this is going to show we have open positions in the fleet. Now my active fleet is going to continue progressing on fabrications and refinery jobs, as well as research production, where my inactive fleets are not. They will pause, so they're not going to cancel anything. But speaking of switching fleets, if you have controllers out on mission and you want to switch fleets, they're going to cancel their trip and return empty-handed. So just make sure you know that when you're switching fleets, either wait or you've lost the order. It's okay. So research per the actual researching of research items is global. So those are going to continue regardless of it. But now let's look at this. Only fleets can only be changed and switched while we're not in combat. So I'm in a projector signal here. And I'm not going to be able to do anything except for add strike craft. So I'd be able to add all of my collectors back, and I can do this by clicking on the icon here a couple times, and that'll be all taken care of. But I can't add any escorts, and even though I can apply the changes, I'll be able to deploy these collectors out and send them off. So a basic overview of the fleet configuration screen. Over here on the left-hand side, we're going to have our fleet selection, so our loadout selection. The box around the letter is going to indicate our active, and then the highlighted letter is going to indicate our selected. So directly left of this, we'll see the option to switch to loadout if this isn't our active fleet, but we can also switch this flagship by tapping on it, and then going into change and selecting our flagship here. Now, and importantly here in this menu, we'll be able to see our flagship stats and armor stats. Just be wary of anything that's not the active fleet. These numbers aren't going to be active. They're not going to be right. Basically, like for example, in this carrier, I have 4x squad matrix modules, right? But because it's not my active fleet, it's not actually counting towards all the numbers in the game. So these numbers here for my collectors, or for these interceptors, are like half what they actually should be. When I switch into this loadout, it'll actually double this number because of how much mods I have on fighters. Now, as we move over here, we're going to see that we have all of our collectors and controllers. This is going to be probably the most that you'll use this to switch out new squads after they die. We'll see that once we tap on this, we'll be able to go through it. It'll indicate our position here. And squads and escorts are going to roughly work in the same way. We'll show a little bit of the difference here. But by clicking this change icon here, we can go through our stash and pull out any collectors or fighters we want to add, and we can put them in different positions if we want to, or we can move over towards our escorts, and then we can start adding escorts. Now, as you click on the escorts, it's going to give you all the data and the information, and it should apply all the mods that your particular flagship has. If you're applying it to another flagship that's inactive, it's not going to apply the correct mods. So just be careful of that. So we're going to just go ahead and select it here. We'll see that it's added. And I have a highlighted apply changes here. That means I can apply my changes to the fleet, and then they'll take over. Now, the only difference between the squad and the escorts here, obviously between the type of craft that you can put in here, but specifically flak destroyers in general will require 2 escort slots. So if I already have one position filled, I can't add a destroyer. I can only add, like, let's say another torpedo frigate here. So I can have two frigates, or I click on these, remove both, and I can add a destroyer. But I need 2 open slots. So with the carrier like this, we'll just discard those changes. With the carrier, I have 3 escort slots. I can have this destroyer and a frigate there as well. I'm going to discard those. So what does all this mean? So let's explore my fleet here and get some ideas. For my A fleet, I have a tier 3 battlecruiser, all resource controllers and resource collectors. And this is because I wanted a fleet that's gonna be able to take some abuse, right? I want to send it into. I'm tired of losing escorts for simple AFK missions, right? So I'll put these on here. I'll send them off and collect all the ore. Plus, this active fleet is gonna produce all of my research production points, and it's gonna do all of the fabrication that I do on a daily basis. So I have 3 parts fabricators running near constantly, um, making these small weapons parts up to 5K, retrieve and build. Oh man, I love that new feature, that new retrieve and build feature. Um, so this is going to be kind of what my fleet looks like for combat. Now it's going to be a little bit of mixed, so I did increase my sensors range here. I wanted to see that. I got it stacked with parts assemblers, a fabricator, and then I'm kind of exploring pulsars and ions with missile launchers. Um, and I got a couple engine boosters on here because I really want it to be a fast combat. I really want it to get places and blow things up. So we'll see with my turrets. I've got a couple of the epic thunderclouds in here. I'm testing pulsars. I've got ions. Ions do more damage overall, but it's a little bit of it's a work in progress. So we'll see what's going to happen. I actually have more pulsars being fabbed in the starbase. So we'll see. I got a let's see. I got a rare thundercloud coming. The L4 rare pointer is coming too today. So hopefully we'll get that set up. Now let's look at my next fleet, Fleet B. So this is going to be one that the Fleet A is going to be one that I send out into most of the tier 1, 2 signals because I just want to kill stuff quickly. But when I need to have things like let's say we take advantage of that epic mining event again, and I want to have a fleet that's dedicated to all of my all the mining, right? Because it's going to require a lot. I don't know why I keep on adding the same ones. This one? There we go. So we'll go ahead and swap fleet over here. Taking the time. Compiling tactical. So this fleet's a little bit overkill. For mining, but it's what I so we'll see my bridge can be stacked with all RUY type B miners. We'll get into the fleet configuration. We'll see that each one of these collectors do them like 261, all rares. Put a couple on there, and then I got the escorts. These all have RUB on them too. So these usually yield me about like 3K a tick. And it's great because all I have to do is switch over to this fleet. I don't have to change any of my modules. And this is actually where it kind of comes into specialized, right? I don't need all that research production. I don't need all the fabrication space. And I don't need necessarily all the weapons space. So now I've gotten stacked with storage, and you'll see a 310 out of this one. I could stay in the mines all day long and collect everything that I need to. So that's kind of the great purpose of having multi-fleets, right? And you can either do this with making like a gas fleet for mining gas, or you can make this, I have an experimental fleet here. This one is strictly for combat, but like when I actually have the attention span to dedicate to managing an entire fleet. This one has 6 kithless missile interceptors on it. And as I switch over here, we'll see that in my internal sections, I've dropped all of that, all of the fabrication and refinery as much as I could, and I've loaded up on squad maintenance modules. So we'll see, this is a pretty formidable fleet. This one actually comes out to 1.13 mil, and it's not even done yet. It's a shell of what it can be. So we'll go into the internal modules. See, I got a bunch of data storage up here. I'd like to buff up my sensors range. But I've also got fighter anti-hulls, fighter squadrons, and a bunch of squadron maintenance modules. So each one of these are maxed out, giving my strike craft hull 100. And then, as we can see before, the The missile interceptors were about 38K. Now they're about 64K, with 100,000 hull. So these things are absolutely deadly and they last forever. I haven't lost one yet, but we can see that we can see the differences here in how I'm playing my bridge. Now I have a lot of abilities. I have hit chance up for my fighters. I have damage A and B for my or damage armor and hull with the fusion missile and missiles. We can go to my external. Everything's modified just a little bit. I got all the event weapons on here. Basically a missile interceptor light flagship combo. And so this is kind of where we get a little bit off the rails a little bit. So this is kind of hard because we can't really necessarily switch our engines between flagships. So this one has to be upgraded. And the same thing with the sensor. I'm not necessarily going to build 4T4 sensors for flagships that might not ever even see T4 space. So just kind of think about that. You do take some hits. Trying to work with multiple fleets, you have to deal with having 6 fabricators, right? Or 6 fabricators and refineries of a certain tier that you want. And then upgrading all of those, having different components. Like let's say I got missiles, pulsars on one, kinetics on the other. You need all support modules and officers to go with them. So it kind of gets to be a little bit of a headache, but honestly, I wish there was more fleets. I wish that we could do more with them. Um, and I'm excited to see what else comes up from this game. Well, that's all, folks. Thanks for watching, and make sure to like, subscribe, and check back for more content. And don't forget to do your dailies.